What's going on, everybody? Coach MccDann here. Multiple factors throughout a person's play with their character and fundamentals is what makes Smash Bros. Such a highly competitive game. But what happens when you factor in the stage you stand on? Today, we'll be going over stage control, learning the basics of keeping good space on stage and how to effectively make use of it. Going into our lesson, you might be curious of what stage control entails or how to know when a player has stage control. So to put it simply, stage control is an advantage state where a player is positioned on stage better than their opponents. This is achieved through multiple factors such as playing in the center of the stage as much as possible and not allowing next to no opportunities for their opponent to retake that stage control away from you. When playing to maintain stage control, it's important to have a reason as to why you play center stage to begin with, and this is usually to use the defensive options you have against your opponent to your advantage when your opponent is at a disadvantaged state. So, in order to recognize the significance of stage control, let's get into a warm-up to practice the concept. Play 3 to 5 games against a friend, family member, or a CPU with a level you're comfortable with, and practice staying in the center of stage as much as possible. This will help your understanding of how important having this factor you play with can be. When maintaining stage control, it's important to recognize just how easy it is to lose. There's a very good chance that there's certain choices you make in-game that can hinder you from utilizing the advantages stage control can create for you. Another factor that falls into play would include leaving the stage for an attempt to take stocks, which can inevitably give your opponent the stage control instead. This is called overextending, and is very common amongst most players. This usually can be prevented when consciously making the decision to ensure that you're the player that stays on stage as often as possible, whenever possible. Easier said than done, but with a little bit of practice, this can be something you can always take note of when trying to improve with every game. When evaluating the decision behind maintaining stage control, it doesn't stray too far off the path of just to keep your advantage state, but is to essentially make sure that your position is safe from any disadvantage your opponent can put you in. Maintaining center stage often comes with the challenge of spacing out your opponent, a concept for another guide that you can check out soon, but when done correctly, forces the opponent to have to make options from ledge, approach with attack options of their own, and overall take note of what it is opponents want to do to get damage or you to get off the stage entirely. While attempting to guard the center of the stage with your character, it's always important to not stray too far into a portion of the stage that isn't the safest. Opponents will often roll, air dodge, or even dash attack to place themselves closer to center stage and further from ledges, and out of the air, as these areas are not considered an advantage state. For this next scrim, go into training mode and try to juggle a level 5 CPU in the air with your character. Do this for 10 to 12 minutes, but don't allow your character to move past the CPU in the air and stay horizontal with them. Believe it or not, the concept of stage control has been established within some of the stages of Smash Bros. Unintentionally. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what is this guy talking about? So, it's time I let you in on a little secret in Smash Bros. Across multiple stages that are considered tournament legal comes a specific stage design that many players overlook. If we take a closer look at several different competitive stages in Smash Ultimate, there's an interesting detail they all have in common, and that involves circular designs on stages that can aid players on how much space they have to maintain stage control. Pretty interesting, right? This space can be considered the safe zone when learning how to properly maintain stage control, as anything outside that can be deemed neutral, like roll distance from ledge, or unsafe, like being on ledge. So with that in mind, the idea of splitting the stage up into 3 distinguishable parts is a great way to not only identify what is and isn't safe, but gives you a good perspective on when it is a good time to pursue attacking your opponent. Okay, we just went over the concept of stage control. Now that we understand just how ingrained this concept is within Smash, it's important to recognize how useful learning this concept can be. For our final scrim, pick a stage you saw on screen today, whether that be Battlefield, Pokemon Stadium 2, or Final Destination. and watch to see where your opponents play on the stage for 3 to 5 games. This will not only give you ideas on how you could play when you're trying to maintain stage control yourself, but also practice your focus on what your opponent is doing at all times while maintaining stage control themselves.